My fiancé announced, "I'm legally changing my first name. Your mom and I have the same name, and it's weird." My mom had passed away 6 months earlier. That name was all I had left of her. I said quietly, "Do what you need to do." Then I ended the engagement that same night. When she realized why I'd gone completely silent. I, 30 male, work as a pest control technician. I drive a company truck. I crawl under houses. I deal with termites and roaches and the occasional raccoon that's decided your attic is an Airbnb. It's not prestigious. People make faces when I tell them what I do at parties. But it pays $54,000 a year, and I'm working toward getting my own license, so I can eventually run my own operation. For now, I show up, I do the work, I go home. My mom died 6 months before this story happened. Pancreatic cancer. Diagnosed in March, gone by August. 5 months from something doesn't feel right to a hospital bed to nothing. She was 58 years old. She was a school cafeteria worker for 24 years. She knew every kid's name, every allergy, every kid who couldn't afford lunch. She'd quietly cover those trays herself, and nobody ever found out until after she was gone, and the school did a little memorial, and 3 parents came forward saying she'd been paying for their kids' meals for years. That was my mom. She didn't make a lot of money, and she didn't have a lot of things. When she died, I inherited a 2009 Honda Accord with a dent in the rear bumper, a Corningware set missing 2 lids, and about $3,200 in a savings account she'd been building since I was born that she called my emergency fund. That's everything. The sum total of her material existence. And her name. She had her name. I'm not going to say what it was in this post, but it's a classic name. The kind of name that was popular in the 60s. Not trendy, not unique, just solid. My mom loved her name. She had it monogrammed on a tote bag she carried everywhere. She signed her Christmas cards with it in big loopy letters. When I was a kid and I'd call for her from another room, she'd yell back, "That's my name, don't wear it out." Every single time. Never got old to her. My fiancé has the same first name. Exactly the same. That's actually how we met. A mutual friend introduced us and said, "You'll never believe this, she has your mom's name." It was a conversation starter. My mom thought it was hilarious. The first time I met, my mom pointed to my fiancé and said, "I like you already, you got a great name." And they both laughed and my mom winked at me, and that was that. My mom met my fiancé 4 times before the diagnosis. Each time, the name thing was a running joke. The two of us, my mom would say. My fiancé played along. She seemed to genuinely find it endearing. When my mom got sick, my fiancé sent her a card that said, "From one name to another, you've got this." My mom kept that card on her nightstand until the day she died. I still have it. It's in a box in my closet. After my mom passed, the name thing changed for me. I can't explain this in a way that sounds rational because grief isn't rational. But hearing my fiancé's name, saying it, thinking it, seeing it on her mail, became this strange double-edged thing. It hurt because it reminded me, and it comforted me because it reminded me. Both at the same time, like pressing on a bruise. You know it'll ache, but you do it anyway, because at least you can still feel it. My fiancé knew this. I'd told her, early in the grief, that hearing her name was hard sometimes, but that I was grateful for it too. She'd held my hand and said, "I'm glad my name means something good to you." That was month 2. By month 5, she'd changed her tune. It started with small comments. It's kind of weird when your dad calls me by name because I know he's thinking of her. Or, "Your aunt keeps doing a double take when someone says my name at family stuff." Or, "I introduced myself at your cousin's party and your uncle got this sad look and I felt so awkward." I try to be understanding. I said it must be uncomfortable to feel like your own name carries someone else's weight. I said it would probably get easier with time. I said my family wasn't trying to make her feel weird. They were just grieving. She'd nod and say, I know, and then bring it up again the next week. Then about 6 months after my mom died, we were eating dinner at the kitchen table. I made tacos, nothing special. And she put down her fork and said, "So, I've made a decision and I want you to be supportive." I said, "Okay. I'm going to legally change my first name. I've already looked into it. It's like $150 to file, and it takes a few weeks. I'm going to go by my middle name instead." I asked why. Because sharing a name with your dead mother is weird. I can't introduce myself anywhere around your family without someone getting emotional or giving me a look. Your dad literally flinched the last time he said my name. It's uncomfortable for me, and nobody seems to care about that. I sat very still. The taco in my hand got cold. I remember that detail because I remember thinking about how I didn't care that the taco was getting cold, which is such a stupid thing to notice when your whole relationship is shifting under your feet. She continued, I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm doing this for both of us. It's a fresh start. We're getting married, and I want my identity, not your mom's. I don't want to spend the rest of my life being a reminder of someone who died. A reminder of someone who died. That's what she called it. Not your mother. Not the woman who kept a card from me on her nightstand. Not even her name. Someone who died. I put the taco down. I said, very quietly, do what you need to do. She looked relieved, like she'd been bracing for a fight and couldn't believe she wasn't getting one. She said, really? You're okay with it? I said, do what you need to do. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand and said, thank you for understanding, babe. Then she picked up her phone and started looking up the name change process while we sat at the table with cold tacos. I watched her scroll. She was already looking at how to update your name on social media articles. She was excited. She was relieved. She'd been carrying this around like a burden, and now she was free of it, and she was already moving on to the logistics. I waited until she went to bed. Then I sat on the couch in the dark for about 2 hours. I didn't cry. I was past crying by that point in my grief. 6 months in, the tears have dried up, and what's left is this dense, heavy thing that sits behind your sternum and doesn't move. I just sat there thinking. Here's what I thought about. I thought about my mom saying, that's my name, don't wear it out. I thought about the card on the nightstand. I thought about the fact that in 6 months, this woman had gone from, I'm glad my name means something good to you, to I don't want to be a reminder of someone who died. I thought about what marriage to this person would actually look like. Every holiday, every family gathering, every time my dad's face did the flinch thing, would she resent it? Would she resent him? Would she resent the memory of my mother for making her uncomfortable in a room? And then I thought, she called my mom someone who died. Not by her name. Not even your mom. Someone who died. Like my mother was an inconvenience that hadn't fully cleared the room yet. At about midnight, I took the ring box out of the dresser drawer where she kept it at night. I put it in my truck. I went back inside and slept on the couch. In the morning, I told her the engagement was off. Update 1. 8 days later. The morning conversation was short. I told her I couldn't marry someone who saw my mother's name as a problem to be solved. She said I was twisting her words. I said her words were pretty clear. She said I was still too deep in grief to think rationally and that I needed therapy, not a breakup. I said maybe I needed both, but the breakup was happening regardless. She asked for the ring. I said no. I bought it. It was mine. She said she'd look into her legal rights. I said go ahead. In our state, the engagement ring is the property of the giver if the engagement is broken by either party. I'd already checked. She hadn't. She moved out over the next 3 days. Went to her parents' house. She had a key, but I didn't change the locks because she left voluntarily and returned the key without me asking. Small mercy. Then the family campaign started. Her mom called me 2 days after she moved out. Her mom is an office manager for a dermatology practice. Very organized. Very controlled. The kind of woman who speaks in complete paragraphs like she's reading from a prepared statement. I need you to understand what you've done to my daughter. She made a perfectly reasonable request about her own identity, her own name, which she has every right to change, and you've punished her for it by taking away her future. She's devastated. She can barely eat. I raised her to know her worth, and right now she doesn't feel worth anything, and that's because of you. I said, she told me that sharing a name with my dead mother was weird, and that she didn't want to be a reminder of someone who died. My mom has been gone for 6 months. Her mom paused. Then, she was expressing a valid discomfort. Sharing a name with a deceased person is uncomfortable. You can't expect her to carry that forever. I didn't expect her to carry anything. I expected her to understand why it mattered to me. She didn't. You're being selfish. This was about her name, her identity, and it was about my mother. The two things existed at the same time. She decided hers mattered more. I decided my mom mattered more. We're both allowed to do that. We're just not allowed to do it together. Her mom called me emotionally stunted and hung up. Pretty clinical insult for a dermatology office manager, but okay. Her dad didn't call. Her dad is the kind of guy who lets his wife handle conflict and then comes in later to quietly assess the damage. I always liked him. He texted me about 4 days later. I don't fully understand the situation, but I'm sorry it came to this. Take care of yourself. That was it. Her dad is a good man, and I hope he knows that. Now here's where the entitlement went from annoying to genuinely unbelievable. About a week after the breakup, my ex posted on her private social media, the kind of account where she had about 300 friends, not public. A mutual friend sent me a screenshot because she thought I should see it. The post said, "Sometimes you try to be sensitive to someone's grief, and it still isn't enough." I offered to change something deeply personal about myself to make things easier for everyone. And instead of appreciating the sacrifice, he threw me away. Grief doesn't give anyone the right to control another person's identity. I deserve someone who sees me, not a ghost. White Heart, a ghost. She called my mother a ghost. On social media, for 300 people to see, the comments were split. A lot of "you deserve better" Queen energy, but a few people who actually knew the situation were uncomfortable. One of her own friends commented, "Wait, isn't his mom the one who passed?" I feel like there's more to this story. My ex deleted that comment within minutes. That same week, she did something that genuinely knocked the wind out of me. She went to the name change filing. She actually did it. She went to the courthouse and filed the petition. I know because my cousin's wife works in the county clerk's office and mentioned it to my cousin, who told me. My ex filed to change her first name to her middle name. The process was underway. She was actively, legally erasing the name my mother shared. Now, I want to be fair here. She has every right to change her name. It's her name. Legally, ethically, morally, she can call herself whatever she wants. I never disputed that. I never tried to stop her. But the timing. 6 months after my mom died, 2 weeks after I ended the engagement, because of this issue, she went straight to the courthouse. Not to prove a point, not as a strategy, because she genuinely wanted to do it, and the only thing that had been stopping her was my feelings, and now my feelings were no longer her concern. That hit me harder than I expected. I sat in my truck after my cousin told me, and I just breathed for a while. My apprentice, a 19-year-old kid who'd only been with the company for 3 months, saw me and said, "You okay, boss?" And I said, "Yeah, just allergies." And he said, "In November?" And I said, "Yeah." And he left me alone. Good kid. Update 2, 2.5 weeks later. Last update. I'll keep this as concise as I can because I've been carrying this story around like a bag of bricks, and I need to set it down. After the courthouse filing, things escalated one final time, and it came from a direction I was not prepared for. My dad found out about the name change. I need to tell you about my dad. My dad is 61 years old. He's been a postal carrier for 33 years. He wakes up at 4:30 a.m., delivers mail in all weather, comes home, eats dinner, watches the news, goes to bed. He's not an expressive man. He didn't cry at my mom's funeral. Not because he didn't feel it, but because he was holding up me and my aunt and my mom's best friend, and he didn't have a free hand left for himself. I've seen my dad cry exactly once in my life, and it was 3 weeks after the funeral when he opened the fridge and found a Tupperware container my mom had labeled Dad's leftover chili. "Do not eat. This means you." And he just stood there in the kitchen holding it, and his shoulders shook, and I pretended I didn't see because he would have wanted me to pretend. My dad found out about the name change through the family grapevine. My cousin told my aunt told my dad. My aunt did not have permission to tell my dad, and I'm still annoyed at her for that, but what's done is done. My dad called me on a Wednesday evening. He said, "Is it true that girl is changing her name because of your mother?" I said, "Yeah, Dad, it's true." He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Your mother would have given that girl her name if she could. She was so happy when she found out. You know that, right?" "I know. Your mother made me take 3 pictures of them together at Thanksgiving because she said it was the 2 of them. She ordered matching coffee mugs with the name on it. Did you know that? She ordered them online the week before she got the diagnosis. They're still in the Amazon box in the garage. She never got to give her one. I did not know about the coffee mugs. I sat on my kitchen floor after that call, and I stared at the wall for a very long time. The next day, I drove to my dad's house. He led me to the garage. There was an Amazon box, still sealed, on the shelf above his workbench. He opened it. 2 ceramic mugs, white with green lettering, each with the name printed on the side. Matching set. My mom had ordered them for $24.99 plus shipping. She planned to give one to my fiancée at Christmas. She died in August. I took one mug. My dad kept the other. I brought mine home and put it in the cabinet, and I use it every morning. It's just a mug. It's a $12.50 mug with a name on it. But I drink my coffee out of it every single day, and when I hold it, I can hear my mom saying, "That's my name, don't wear it out," and it's the closest I can get to having her in the room. Okay, the final escalation. About a week after my dad told me about the mugs, my ex made one more play. She had her best friend reach out to me, not to advocate for the relationship, but to deliver what she apparently considered a peace offering. Her friend texted me saying, "Hey, she wanted me to tell you that she's going through with a name change, but she wanted to offer you the chance to have input on the new name she chooses. She thought maybe you could help pick something, like together, as closure." Read that again. She wanted me, the man who ended the engagement, because she was erasing a name that connected her to my dead mother, to help her pick the replacement name, as closure. Like we were collaborating on a creative project instead of standing on opposite sides of the worst thing that's ever happened between 2 people who used to love each other. I texted back, "No, thank you." Her friend said, "She's really trying here." I said, "I appreciate that." My answer is still no. Her friend said, "Can I ask you something honestly? Do you think you'll ever be able to forgive her?" And I thought about it, really thought about it. Not for her, for me. Because that's the kind of question that bounces around in your head at 2 a.m., whether you want it to or not. I said, "I don't think she did anything that requires my forgiveness. She made a choice about her name. I made a choice about my life. We both did what we felt we needed to do. I just can't build a marriage with someone who looked at the last living connection I had to my mother and saw an inconvenience." Her friend didn't respond to that. I think it was the most honest thing I'd said through the entire process, and honest doesn't always land the way people want it to. That was 2 weeks ago. I haven't heard from my ex since. I don't check her social media. I know from the family grapevine that the name change is still processing. Apparently, it takes about 6 weeks after the court hearing. I know she's still at her parents' house. I know her mom is still telling anyone who'll listen that I'm using grief to manipulate women, which is a creative interpretation of a man quietly ending an engagement and asking to be left alone. The ring. I returned it to the jeweler. It was a $4,800 ring, modest by the standards of the internet, but the most expensive thing I'd ever bought. The jeweler gave me $3,100 back, which is the standard resale hit. I put the money in the emergency fund my mom left me, the $3,200 account. So it's sitting at about $6,300 now. Still calling it Mom's emergency fund. Still not touching it unless things get dire. My dad comes over for dinner every Thursday now. We don't talk much. He eats whatever I make. I'm learning to cook, badly, but he eats it without complaint because that's who he is. Last Thursday, I made spaghetti, and it was objectively terrible, and he ate the whole plate and said, "Your mother would have thrown this at me." And we both laughed, and it was the first time we'd laughed together since August. Not a big laugh, just a small one, but it was real. I drink my coffee out of the mug every morning. My dad drinks his out of the matching one. 2 mugs my mom ordered from Amazon for $24.99 plus shipping, sitting in 2 different kitchens, holding the same name. She was right. It is a great name, and I will not let it wear out.